All right, this is going to be a very different test drive Tuesday. Kirill, thanks for letting me drive your truck, which used to be my truck.
Yes.
So this is fun. We're not reviewing a new F-150. Today we're reviewing a 1965 Ford F-100 that I think is done up pretty nicely.
You're a little biased, though.
I'm very biased. Let's give it a spin.
No, don't forget.
Park and brake. All right, so what are we dealing with here? It's going to be hard to talk because this truck is loud. I'm probably going to have to subtitle my friend over here. But them's the brakes when you're dealing with a 390, it's been a while, 390 cubic inch V8 engine that makes way more noise than horsepower.
Yeah.
This is a loud truck. It is not a fast truck, but it is 100% a muscle truck. And with Kirill here, it is a surf truck.
Indeed.
That long bed serves the quality purpose of shuttling surfboards to and from the beach, which is a rad way for this truck to live out its life. So,
also great for moving furniture.
Yeah, see, the problem, Kirill and I were talking about this earlier. People love the aesthetics of a short bed, but it's a long bed that is actually the most useful. You can't do anything with a 5.5-foot bed. With this mamma jamma behind me, you can move anything, and it's great. But let's dive into the meat of what this truck is and why it's special. This is a 1965 Ford F100, and what that means is that is the first year for the twin I-beam suspension. That means there's two beams up front, and it increased the comfort and drivability of these trucks over what they used to have up there. It was so good that Ford used it for decades on the F100s and F150s, and then they used it until like a week ago on the Super Duties. That's how important the twin I-beam was for Ford, and this is the first year they used it. This truck would have come stock with a 352 cubic inch engine. At some point along the way, somebody did something under the hood, and this has a 390 now, which is fine because the blocks are the same. It's the FE Ford engine, which probably made, I would guess, like 270 horse when new or something like that. Who knows? This one, though, has Urson heads, which is the prior owner put on it, or valve covers, sorry, Urson valve covers. There's a 4-barrel carb under there. There's a nice big air cleaner, Edelbrock. When I had the truck, what I did was we upgraded to a hotter cam. We built a MagnaFlow exhaust system, so it sounds awesome. And then I took the cooling fan off of the engine, put an electric cooling fan just to keep this big beast cool, and it works well. You can hear it click on when it needs to come on. The front brakes, they used to be drums. I put in discs. They're not power, but they are better than the drums that used to be on here. The rear are still drums, but you stop with the front, so it doesn't matter. Also, it upgraded the system to a 2-channel system. So if the front or the rear brakes decide to fail, you at least have the others to stop with. Now, over the years that I did have this truck, one of the constant fail points for me was the steering coupler. For some reason, I could just never get them lined up, and it just shredded them. I don't think you're having that problem these days, which is great.
I think you finally got it figured out on the last attempt.
Right, on the last time we finally got it sorted out. One problem this truck still does have, and you've affectionately named it Smoke?
Smokes.
Yeah, so this is Smokes because the left side exhaust is usually puffing out some white smoke, and it's not because of the, I thought it was because of the valve seals, the valve guides. We fixed those when we did the cam, so there could be some piston issue. At some point, this engine is going to need a rebuild, and when it does, it'll be stronger and louder and better than ever. But as it sits, it drives fine, it makes good noise, it just belches out a little bit of white smoke, so you let everybody know you're coming.
Yeah.
One time when I was driving this truck, somebody spotted it, and they wrote the California Air Resources Board, so I got a nice letter in the mail saying, hey, we noticed your truck smokes, please get it fixed. And I laughed because there's literally nothing they can do about a 1965 pickup. So
there are no emission laws that apply to 1965 pickups.
everybody likes to rip on California for being such a tough state. If your thing is older than 75, you can do whatever the hell you want. So if you know what you're doing here, you can have a lot of fun. California is great for that. Now, this has a 4-speed manual gearbox. We've popped on a Superformance shift knob. My friends at Superformance gave me that, and I think it actually looks cool, and the old shift knob was not in great shape. It has long throws, but not as long as you think. You really don't need to use first gear ever unless you're hauling something or going up a
You
really
can't use first
No,
gear.
it's so
really
short.
It's really a 3-speed.
It's a 3-speed. First gear is a granny gear to help you get going. Like if you wanted to rip stumps out of the ground, but then the back end would just bounce around. But you pretty much just are first and third, and then when you're on the highway, you're into fourth. Though it's such a torquey low-end truck that you can, and then you're in fourth and you're cruising. It would be nice to have power steering.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have power steering. Once you're underway, the steering is fine, but
slow speed maneuvering.
slow speed maneuvering, it sucks.
It's a workout.
It sucks. The brakes feel good. The shift lever feels good. Throttle feels good. Oh, another thing we replaced was the throttle cable, because this now has a locker throttle, and it's just so much tighter and more responsive. So you can, the truck, it sounds good. I love the way this thing says that. It's almost like a vintage Subaru somehow. I don't know why the burbly, like, okay, that's a weird thing to compare it to, but it's just like the tone is Subaru-esque, but then 100% American muscle car at the same time. People,
I can kind of see
the little like undertone of Subaru-ness.
An old WRX with a bug eye WRX with an exhaust on it. At very low RPMs. I can kind of.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, like a Subaru just getting underway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then it just takes over. And I was joking earlier, but this thing makes more noise than horsepower in a way that makes you smile. It makes most people around you smile. I mean, not everybody is going to be happy to hear this thing roar on by, but it's got muscle car gauges. It's got a manual choke. It's got a three-ish 4-speed down here on the floor. You could have these with 3 on the trees, inline 6s, and 3 on the tree is fun, but having your gearbox on the floor is so much better. The seat is comfortable. I bought this Mexican blanket for it and never put it on, and I'm happy to see it finally on because it looks good here. It has an upgraded sound system because when I had it, friends at Clarion threw a system in here. So now this truck actually has nav and Bluetooth, which is silly, but it's also kind of nice at the same time. It has a backup camera, which is not hooked up, but would be useful for that long bed. You can incorporate a backup camera into this system. I miss these side windows that flip open to let the air in because there is no AC in here, so it gets warm. But other than that, this truck is an absolute delight. It's great to be sitting back of the driver's seat again for a few minutes. Thank you for letting me do that, by the way. I mean, there's times when I miss this truck. I'm happy that I have my Benz project vehicles, but I've been driving a lot more trucks lately, and you start to think about the ones you pushed away. But it's great to see this being used as a surf truck. You've filled in some holes from the old mirrors.
Yep.
You're going to address the tailgate because there's a little bit of rust there, and then you're going to do a full bed liner.
Yep.
That's smart because Kirill's going to be throwing surfboards in the back, so you think about the salt water getting in and out of the bed. A bed liner just makes sense at that point. And then the rest of the time, I'm assuming he's just going to enjoy it. He's just going to cruise in it, and that's what this is. This is a muscle car.
Yeah. It's just a great cruiser. It doesn't go fast like on the freeway. I usually cruise in the right lane, going about 60. I'll throw on some appropriate music, like Chili Peppers or something like that. And especially if I'm coming back from the surf session, it just enjoy. Just puts a smile on my face, and almost always I'll have at least one person like drive by and throw me a thumbs up or a hug or whatever.
Right.
I got more comments and loads and everything on this truck than I've ever gotten on any unobtainium press car I've ever gotten. And like the amount of love people give this thing is amazing.
So Kirill and I are both automotive journalists, and we drive a lot of very different cars, ranging from Kias to McLarens and everything in between. And I get what you're saying 100%. This thing is a thumbs-up smile machine all the way. Like, everybody's like, oh, neat, that's the newest supercar. Then they're like, oh, that is awesome. That is an old Ford truck.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm very happy to hear that it still does that. So this thing is so sweet. The new Ford trucks are excellent. The old Ford trucks are so sweet. Kirill and I were talking about this earlier. People like... This car has Bluetooth. This truck has Bluetooth. That was funny. Also, I think that's probably good.
Might have to let it on that though.
Yeah.